why it never occurred to me sooner, but Torrance Shipman is the most unproblematic white woman to ever do it. She was not only before her time, she's actually still the moment, because Torrance is the blueprint for how to be an ally.
Talk, Valentina. Ally.
Follow along as we take note of every time Torrance was a real. For those who haven't seen the iconic and classic film the turn of the century blessed us with, Bring It On, I encourage you to correct your mistakes at once. But the story of Bring It On is a straightforward one. The Rancho Carne Toros cheerleading squad, the white girls, are the reigning cheerleading squad. Shortly after our protagonist, Torrance Shipman, becomes captain of the Toros, she's flabbergasted to find out that the routines she and the Toros had been winning championships with for years were actually stolen from the East Compton Clovers, the baddies, serving true unfriendly black hotties energy. And just like I'm sure the unfriendly black hotties were in Mean Girls, they were serving it with good reason.
These white men are dangerous.
Torrance discovers the routines are stolen after Missy, the newest cheerleader she'd fought to get on the squad because these early 2000s hating white homophobic ass bitches identified her as
Missy looks like an Uber hike.
But Torrance, like a real bitch, said,
Courtney, I'm the captain. I'm pulling rank, and you can fall in line or not. If we're gonna be the best, we have to have the best. Missy's the poo, so take a big whip.
Anyway, Missy revealed to her the routines by taking her all the way to the Clovers High School, where the Clovers were performing and ready to promptly beat both their asses when they spot them there, because they fairly assumed that Torrance, like the former Captain Big Red, was there to steal their routines. Now, when the Clovers confront Torrance about the Toros stealing their routines, they do not mince words with Torrance or Missy. In fact, Janelope suggests they beat their ass quickly so they don't miss curfew.
Can we just beat these Buffies down so I can go home? I'm on curfew, girl.
And despite the fact that Torrance did not know the routines were being stolen, she wasn't there to steal the routines, and it would have been fair had she felt scared, she at no point victimizes herself, the Toros, or at any point walks away thinking she's the victim, or making the Clovers out to be wrong, or angry black women, or having an issue with them at all. Her next course of action is to immediately tell the other Toros the routines are stolen and beg them to stop doing the stolen routines and to create their own. Now, despite she and Missy's pleas, the rest of them stealing white people were unfazed and insisted they continue using the stolen routines because they were both too lazy and untalented to come up with something of their own with so much short notice till nationals. Now, I do not know why they thought they were gonna get that shit off, like ISIS didn't already tell them those days of stealing their routines and passing it off as their own because the Clovers didn't have the resources to participate in these competitions was over. She's captain now.
Guys, like every time we get some, here y'all come trying to steal it, putting some blonde hair on it and calling it something different. We've had the best squad around for years, but no one's been able to see what we can do. Oh, but you better believe all that's gonna change this year. I'm captain, and I guarantee you we will make it to nationals.
I'm the captain now.
But ISIS wasn't playing with them. So at the next Toros game, when they thought they was going to continue using the Clovers' stolen routines, the Clovers show up and make a fool of their stealing asses in front of their entire school.
You're the best, so score them points, you win the game. We'll rock this joint. Go Toros, go Toros, go, go, go Toros, go Toros, go Toros, go, go, go Toros. Our game is fierce and we are hip, so get on back. You can't touch this. Our game is bad, we're without peers, so get that weakness out of here. Tried to steal our bit, but you look like shit.
And what does Torrance do? Unlike what a typical Karen would do, Torrance again does not victimize her or the Toros. She doesn't attack. She doesn't call the police on them. She doesn't confront or say even a negative word about the Clovers. She simply turns to the squad, and even over true colonizer Courtney's objections, she insists they get new routines. And how does Torrance go about getting a new routine? She does not get her 2013 Miley Cyrus on or turn into this lady.
Hey, I'm Dina. Look at my feet. You don't want to do that. Look at my feet. And that's what makes it look like hip hop. I think the first thing that you need to know about hip hop, look at my feet.
She and the squad raised money to hire trifling ass Sparky to teach them a very raggedy white routine he had been peddling all up and down the West Coast, despite charging all these little squads an arm and a leg and had them looking absolutely crazy at the competition. And why did he do that?
These white men are dangerous.
And even then, fresh off of being mortified, when ISIS throws shade at her, she still doesn't turn into a Karen.
Y'all should have just stuck with our routines.
She takes her licks and she skedaddles. Then, like she isn't already embarrassed enough, Here goes the chair official reprimanding her and suggesting that the Toros should be disqualified for the routine, and she immediately rushes to take accountability and asks she be held responsible instead of the squad. And as if she's not already having a bad enough day, Torrance's punk-ass boyfriend, who was a former member of the cheerleading squad and is now a college freshman, comes and tells her she's not captain material and she should just turn the squad over to colonizer Courtney and Whitney, the same dumb bitches whose only suggestion was to keep doing the stolen routines they'd already been exposed for stealing. Aaron had been a pretty absent boyfriend the entire movie up until this point, outside of us seeing him drop her to school on the first day of her senior year, assuring her she'd make captain before he left for college. She heard from him minimally from then on, and she had a couple of flirtatious interactions with Missy's brother Cliff. But what I really like is that at no point have we heard Torrance express a desire to break up with Aaron, or to be with Cliff, or to break up with him for Cliff. But the minute Aaron told her she wasn't captain material and she clocked in her mind that he didn't believe in her, she took her ass right over to his dorm room to dump him expeditiously. And she did not just dump him. My bitch read him down.
I guess that's it. You were too busy to believe in me. Oh, no, but wait. You weren't too busy to sell me out to Courtney and Whitney, were you? Now I'm confused. I hope you're not too busy to hear this. Kiss my ass, Aaron. It's over. You're a great cheerleader, Aaron. It's just that maybe you're not exactly boyfriend material.
Now that's how you clear a bitch.
And my girl didn't even give a f. He was there with the next gal. No tears, no softness. That's a bitch who stand on business. And she managed to read him down without ever once resorting to saying anything homophobic, because, you know, this was a cheerleader wearing turtlenecks in California in the year 2000, okay? A progressive queen before her time. And then Torrance goes to Cliff to let him know that she broke up with Aaron and that Aaron didn't believe in her like he did. And Cliff pays her dust, which is crazy because he had absolutely no reason to be mad. Torrance had a boyfriend when they met. She did not tell him otherwise. She wasn't talking to him, texting him, dating him, sexing him, or really leading him on in any legitimate way. They had all of maybe 4 flirtatious interactions in passing. They almost kissed once, but almost ain't doing it now, is it? That boy Cliff took it upon himself to show up at her house unannounced with flowers and a mixtape like Joe Goldberg, and caught an attitude because Torrance was being dropped home by the boyfriend she'd been had. She did not owe that entitled boy shit. I'm 24 years late to this rant, but Cliff was shittier than we ever acknowledged. Anyhow, when Cliff straight up ignores her, does Torrance spend the rest of the movie running behind him, crying like a pussy? No, she goes back to her main focus, the cheerleading competition. And not only does she get on her hustle to make her own routine, she goes to her white forefathers for inspiration. I know that's right, Torrance. Then, when she hears the Clovers aren't in the competition because they didn't have the money to enter, Torrance doesn't rejoice. She's actually mad as because, as she says, she's trying to be the best. And to be the best is to compete against the best. And she knows them black women are the best. So you know what Torrance does? She exercises her privilege and gets her father to give her the money to give to the Clovers. Then, when she goes all the way down to the Clover school to give them the money to enter the competition, and they are offended by what she perceives as the right thing to do, but they perceive as charity, she does not victimize herself. She doesn't take offense. She doesn't lash out on them. She doesn't begin hating on them. She doesn't call them ungrateful or change her tune in any way. She simply goes about her business, having done what she thought was right, and refocuses on trying to win the competition on her own merit. This might be the most important of all the real ass shit Torrance has done, because I think it's the most central to her being a good ally. Recognizing that the people you're trying to be an ally to might not always appreciate how you show up or trust your intentions, but you should continue to show up for them anyway and do the right thing regardless of whether those people like you or receive you warmly, because that's not what it's supposed to be about. At no point was she trying to become friends with the Clovers or trying to get an invite to the cookout. She would do what she thought was right and go right back to living her white ass life with her friends, minding her white ass business. And in the final competition, when the Clovers win and the Toros place second, Torrance is enthusiastic and genuinely happy for both the Toros and the Clovers, as she tells the Clovers they deserved first because they were better. And she still exclaims to her squad that second place feels like first because they worked for it and earned it on their own merit. This is why Torrance Shipman is and will forever be iconic, and white ladies should treat her like their North Star. In a world full of Karens, please be a Torrance. Y'all should subscribe to the Patreon. I put, for the people who want to hear me doing all my cursing, we put the uncensored versions of every recap on the Patreon. So do that.